Hello. Just gonna show off what I've got for this map so far. Been working on this on and off for about a year now, more off than on. A few days here, a few days there, skip a month, skip a couple months, a few days more. So this is what I got so far. First we've got an intro sequence. Basically we've lost contact with this colony, and it's pretty much standard operating procedure to send a small squad of Marines to check it out. Fortunately there's no problems really, their communications broke down, and all we really have to do is just fix it using some of the supplies we brought. But there's a twist. A ship crashed nearby not long before we got here, which is really unusual since it takes like forever to get to a faraway colony. You have to go through hypersleep and all that. So that's like the biggest coincidence ever. So we're gonna go check that ship out and we're gonna see what's in it. This part of the intro actually incorporates little elements of a tutorial into it. So like when you go through the intro, you actually learn a few things about the game before the game starts.
Who wants some?
For example,
Sure thing.
while you're exploring the ship, you might notice that you can't see your teammates anymore.
Booyah! Orders received.
You do not share vision with your allies unless you're the lieutenant or the sergeant. So basically the human players need their ranking officers to help coordinate their efforts.
Can't wait. Why not?
This is a mysterious crashed ship.
Yes, sir.
We don't know why it crashed,
Roger that.
and I actually don't really
Of course.
have any details put in it yet. Like I have just
Sure.
the cool parts at the back.
Will do.
You can tell it's a crashed ship because the hull has been just completely torn open.
Forward to it.
The cliff that it crashed into is jutting in through the walls.
Keep your shirt on, Sparky. Go, go, go!
Oh no, what's that?
Got it. Affirmative. You got it.
There's some test tubes and all that.
Anyway,
The plot thickens. And now we're gonna find out who the aliens player is. At the beginning of the game actually selected who's gonna be the aliens player already, but we don't find out until this point who it was. The aliens player actually becomes the aliens player through being infected by a facehugger. So up until this point, the aliens player has been a Marine, and no one has known who is who. Everyone freaks out a little bit. Sarge comes in and restores rationality to the situation because he's a badass like that. And he's obviously Sergeant Apom from Aliens because that's just the coolest idea ever. So we're gonna go back to the colony and we're gonna see what's up in the med lab right there. Here's another part of the intro sequence that incorporates a miniature tutorial element into it. The game is gonna start soon, and right before it does, the aliens player gets to learn how to hatch his units. You are the alien, double click your host to hatch.
you gonna give me orders?
Sarge ain't too happy about that. Alright, so we're the alien player, which always happens because I have it set up that way for testing purposes. First order of business is to evolve into a full-grown alien unit. And guess what? That unit is a Praetorian, a young queen. Which means that there are more alien units in our future. But for now we have to grow up into an alien unit and then do our alien thing. We are now a Praetorian, and we need to find a place to set up a hive. But first let's grab one of these unsuspecting schmucks. And be on our way. Normally the human players would probably be out and about, but I'm the only one controlling anything, so they're still huddled up in the med lab. We pretty much have to grab someone along the way because we need a new host when we get our hive set up. There are 4 locations on the map where you can set up a hive, and there's one in each corner of the map. They have different layouts with different tactical considerations, so it's basically just up to player preference which location they want to set up their hive in. Like this one has this long narrow corridor, and then at about this part you've got ledges you can jump down onto them, onto the unsuspecting human players. This ship is actually one of the potential hive locations. So let's drop this colonist right here. And now that we're in our location where we can build our hive, let's evolve into a queen. And I need to put a stun on these guys so that they don't run away like that. But he ain't going far. Once the queen is done, we need to build our egg layer. Now we just gotta wait for that to complete. Yeah, I definitely gotta put some kind of stun effect in so these guys don't run off like that. Once this is complete, we will attach ourselves to it and start laying eggs. It's a good idea to turn off the auto casting when we're not using it so that we don't use up all our resources. Once you've got all this said and done, you have just enough to lay 1 egg, which costs 25 biomatter. Biomatter is like minerals in that it's like your dump stat. You just spend it on basic stuff, and metabolism is like your tech resource that you can get used to get more advanced stuff. So our egg is laid. Let's hatch out of it as a face hugger. Find this guy. And take him over. So maybe admire some of this awesome looking creep while we're here. I actually did not change any textures or create any art to get the creep looking like this. I basically just found some numeric values and I toyed around with them until it looked like this, which is really awesome because it just looks exactly like the hive material that the walls of alien hives are made out of in the movies and the games and stuff. It's even all kind of Geigery, like H.R. Geiger looking. You can see all the little shapes and stuff in it. Maybe if you look hard enough you might find a phallic object or something. Double click the colonist and we have another chest burster. From here we can hatch into 3 kinds of beings: runners, drones, or warriors. Let's hotkey the queen, hotkey this. For now we just want runners probably. So we need to convert some of this and we need to lay 1 more egg. When you kill any human, you get 50 biomatter from it. That's enough biomatter to lay 1 egg and convert to metabolism using this queen's metabolize ability to make a runner. Every alien unit can kidnap human units and bring them to the hive, but alien units can also pick up eggs and carry the eggs back to the human's base, back to the marine's base, or the colony or whatever. So you can grow your hive by bringing humans to the hive, and then when you go back to the colony you can take eggs with you to further help grow your hive. The runners are the weakest unit out of all the aliens units, but it is the only unit that runs at high speeds like this. So the runners are basically going to be your economic unit. If you want to grow your hive quickly, you want more runners. But if you want your hive to be strong, you need to get slower units. But if you have slower units, your hive will not grow as fast. So let's grab one of these guys, drop him up here, and need to make room and attach a facehugger to him. Once he's mature, we'll double click him or her. Doesn't matter, a few seconds anyway. Convert some materials and make 1 more runner. Let's hatch 1 egg. Once these guys are hatched, let's grab a couple more colonists. And let's kill 1 while we're at it. I think that should be enough. Yeah, that should be enough. Alright, so we're gonna go back home. This time we're gonna make drones. Just to show off the different units. There's not a lot of difference between each unit though, but I still want to show it off just for completion and so you get to see how they look. Unlike runners, which just cost 25 metabolism, drones cost 25 biomatter and 25 metabolism. So let's make 2 drones, and let's lay an egg while we're at it. I'm gonna pick up this last egg because I'm gonna bring it to the base to show you what a warrior looks like. As you can see, runners run way faster than the other alien units. So having a runner versus having a drone is a huge decision that's going to impact how quickly your hive can grow versus the pure strength that your hive is going to have. Plus, it's also a little awkward to fight with runners in your army, I imagine, because for the same reason it's kind of awkward for Terrans to fight with Hellions, because they're going to run out ahead of everything. So you have to sort of plan that out. Let's grab one of these guys. And while we're at it, let's kill some guys. I think 3 will be enough. Keep track of our metabolites to make sure it doesn't go too far. Looks like it's gonna be fine. But since warriors cost 75 each, we need to metabolize one more time. And go. Warrior time. And we have enough left over to make a couple of eggs back at home. There's no real difference between the units in terms of damage. They all do 5 damage, including the warrior. The main difference is in the health that they have, and the fact that that there's a huge speed difference between runners and every other unit. The warrior is actually really awesome. Look at that. The way he kind of just gallops like that. So that's pretty much all I've got to show you for the alien side right now. Now let's take a look at the marine side. The Marines are a bit different from the aliens. The aliens side has one single player, and the alien player is a macro player.
Bad news?
The Marines are divided into different roles.
Will do.
You have your grunts, you have your corporal, your sergeant, and then your lieutenant is at the top. The lieutenant is your macro player for the Marines. He's responsible for building all your buildings. He researched your tech. He mines your resources, and he builds your units. And any units extra that your team has that doesn't have a player to control them, he controls those units, and he also can assign them for control by the sergeant. like I mentioned earlier, the lieutenant and the sergeant are the only players on your team that can see their teammates. So these two are going to be the players most responsible for coordinating team efforts, if that ever arises, I don't know. And the sergeant is basically going to have that ability to share vision, but without the ability to control buildings.
Go ahead.
If one of the ranking officers dies, the rest of the ranking officers shift one rank upwards. So you have your lieutenant, you have your sergeant, and you have your corporal, and then you have your grunts. Except
I'm going.
your grunts do not have your grunts will never be able to become ranking officers.
Yep.
And the only difference between a grunt and a corporal is that the corporal can become a ranking officer
Good job, huh?
if a space opens up. So basically Corporal is kind of like Corporal Hicks from the movies. He's just a normal grunt, and he's not really ready to go out and do anything heroic. But then if spaces in the command chain open up above him, suddenly he has responsibility thrust upon him, and he's got to show that he's got what it takes. But yeah, Lieutenant is your macro player, and I guess you could say Sergeant is kind of your micro player, but they can both do both. But anyway, we've got our buildings all set up, so let's mine some minerals.
Yeah, whatever.
Or not minerals, metal and components.
We hear you.
It costs 40 scrap metal and 10 components to build a marine.
Sure thing.
And you get your metal and components from these scrap heaps. Each scrap heap contains 400 metal
With the gear.
and 100 components, represented by 1 for each 10.
Big job, huh?
Your power loader harvests from
Your
there,
time.
returns it to the base, and we're gonna have to make a couple more trips before we can afford a marine. So you might have noticed by now that the aliens' economy can grow over time as the alien hive grows, since each alien can capture colonists. The more aliens you have, the faster the alien hive can grow, and the only thing really limiting them is how many people they've killed for extra resources, and how quickly their queen can metabolize the biomatter. But still, the more aliens the aliens have, the faster their hive can grow. Whereas the humans only get 1 power loader at a time, so they have a flat rate of growth. The humans start out with more units than the aliens, but the aliens have the capacity for exploding out of control if you don't keep a close eye on your colonists. So we've got 40 metal right now, we just need 10 components. Scrap and components are gathered from the same resource. You just right click to gather normal scrap, and you use the special ability to gather components.
Roger.
The energy goes down 1 to represent that we have a component. And let's return the component back to our base. Before I show you the coolest part about the Marines' macro play. Much like the aliens require hosts in order to propagate, human players actually require colonists in order to train Marines. In order to train a Marine or a power loader, if your power loader dies, you have to actually load a colonist into your barracks. So let's do that. Since there's 3 of them standing around here, they'll get loaded instantly. But if they're a bit farther away, it actually commands the colonists to walk over and hop in. Since we have a colonist in our barracks, we can now train a Marine. So colonists are actually a very important resource for both players, and they're the resource that both factions are fighting over. The aliens need colonists in order to hatch more aliens, and the Marines need colonists in order to train more Marines.
That's fine. Looking forward to it.
I'm hoping that the way I've got it set up so far, that this evolves into a fun game as both players play together, as both factions do their own thing.
Why not?
You only saw me playing because I don't have any other people to play with yet. I don't even have this uploaded to the internet yet. But there's all those other guys in there who would be running around and taking actions if they were under the control of other players.
Who wants some? Will do.
It's going to be a bit longer before I have it all set up for multiplayer. I still have to put in things like how to handle disconnections. I have to set up the lobby, but for the most part, almost everything is in. Almost everything is working the way I want it to, and
got it.
Before long, I'm going to be able to upload this. So yeah, that's what I've got so far. Hope you enjoyed this. Hope it wasn't too boring to sit through. Yeah, have fun. See you later.